We're getting ready to begin the regular council meeting Wednesday, May 25th at 5 p.m. This is the roll call. The Honorable Catherine F. Ryle, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums, District 2.
Present.
The Honorable Helen Z. Willis, District 3.
Present.
The Honorable J.C. Sebastian, District 4. District 4.
Present.
The Honorable Corey A. Reeves, District 5.
Accounted for.
The Honorable Natasha Williams, District 6.
Present.
And we also have present the Honorable Mayor Khalid.
Good evening, everyone, to our June council meeting. This will be our final council meeting here at the Southwest Arts Center. We're going to take a little summer sabbatical, and when we come back, we're going to have a new meeting space. So make sure that you are signed up for our city's newsletter. You can go to cityofsouthfultonga.gov to find out where we will be meeting next. We have a big schedule tonight. We're covering everything from parks to public safety. For those of you all who were here for our URA meeting, we got an update on some of our park buildings, which will be opening this summer. We are going to be hopefully finalizing our contract with our fire union, which I am very excited about. I started my career in politics organizing the transit workers at MARTA, where I was a union member. And we have some new spots opening on Old National, so summer's coming. We want you to get your mingle on. But before any of that, I thought that it would be super important to take a moment of silence and prayer for the families and the victims in Uvalde, Texas, and the victims of gun violence here in South Fulton. So I'm going to ask our city chaplain to come up and lead us in a word of prayer.
Thank you, Mayor. For those of you who would like to stand, if you'll stand with us. And for those of you who have joined us online, if we can take the attitude of prayer for a moment of silence and meditation. To our wise God, who created us and made us out of his wisdom and knowledge, who have allowed us to have destiny together, to live together, to walk together, to talk together, to laugh together, to cry together. We've seen so much, oh God, so much violence, so much killing. We've seen enough parents crying and shaking their heads because of the loss of their children, of gun violence, not just in Robb Elementary School, but, oh God, right here and all across the nation. So much needs to be done, oh God. And one thing that you have done is that you've given us, the people, the power to make a change. In your word, you said, be doers, to be it first. Don't just talk about it, but we must be it. And then we must become what we are being. We must become the legislation. We must become the right. We must become those who will stop it, not just talk, but we must be and then do. And then we'll have that we need. In order for those things to happen now, God, we just ask you to continue to come in this place. Pour your wisdom and knowledge upon our leadership, our mayor and our council. For we trust their guidance. Our department heads, oh God, our city manager, we trust their guidance. Every citizen of the city of South Fulton trusts their guidance, oh God, because we trust you. So, oh God, speak that we might hear you. Move that we might see you. And we will forever and ever and ever give you the praise as we witness the change, not just in our city, but in our nation. For all those who can believe and receive, join me in saying amen, amen, and amen. You may be seated. Thank you, Mayor.
First item on the agenda, Roman numeral 4, adoption of the council agenda.
I move that, I move that we adopt the regular council meeting agenda as of Wednesday, May 25th.
Second.
Mr. Mayor?
There were some amendments that that were requested. City Manager, did you want to sound out those? Or
I can
Mr.
read them
Clerk?
into the record.
Go ahead.
Yes, we had actually 4 items. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves was withdrawing his nomination for the Development Authority Board. That was item 44. The city manager wishes to add an item authorizing the utilization of the single source or emergency exemption to select Georgia Micro Enterprise Network Incorporated to administer mortgage assistance funds on behalf of the city for amount not to exceed $1.4 million.
Could we add that as 27B?
27B. Next item, a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept the award to the city of the Assistance to Firefighter Grant in an amount not to exceed $1 million with a required 10% match.
Can we add that to the consent agenda as item number 17?
Point of order.
Or we cannot?
Right.
Okay, can we add that under public safety then as item number 42B?
42B. Next item is request council approval of an intergovernmental agreement for the provision of election services between Fulton County, Georgia and the city of South Fulton, Georgia at no cost to the city for the conducting of the District 7 special election.
Can we add that to City Charter and Council Affairs, item 35B?
35B. That completes the additions that were submitted.
All right, if someone wants to withdraw that motion and make a new motion for the amended agenda, I will accept that.
I'll withdraw, Mayor. I would like withdraw my previous motion and make a new motion to approve the regular council meeting agenda for Wednesday, May 25th as amended.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Please call the vote, Mr. Clerk.
Roll call, Councilmember Rao,
Yes.
Councilmember Gums, Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian, Councilmember Sebastian,
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams. Member Williams. Member Williams. Councilmember Williams. Yes in the chat, Mr. Mayor. That was approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound on the next item.
Next item is Roman numeral 5, approval of city council meeting minutes. Request council approval of city council regular meeting minutes from April 26, 2022. Request council approval of city council work session minutes from May 10th, 2022. Request council approval of city council zoning public hearing minutes from May 10th, 2022. Request council approval of city council retreat meeting minutes from May 12th through the 14th, 2022. And request council approval of city council special call meeting minutes from May 14th, 2022.
So move. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please pound the vote.
Roll call vote, Councilmember Rao,
Yes.
Councilmember Gums,
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Tim Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. That item is approved. Those items are approved unanimously.
All right, please sound on the next item.
Next item is public proclamations. We have a proclamation that will be presented to the Atlanta Community Food Bank. This is sponsored by Councilmember Willis and the mayor and full city council.
All right.
Constituents, Mayor and Council, you know that the nation has undergone a catastrophe called COVID-19, and we are now in year 3 of it. Although the numbers have gone down, there's still a lot of impact from COVID-19, such as high prices due to inflation, such as food insecurity. And today we are honoring one of the organizations that have partnered with the city of South Fulton from the start of the pandemic and have provided us a source of food for us to distribute to our residents going on 3 years now. We just had a food distribution at Creel Park this previous Monday, and we hear all the time from residents how our food distributions have helped them, and we make sure that we serve our residents with dignity, and we get people from all walks of life coming to be served. And so today, we would like to recognize one of our main sources of food, which is the Atlanta Community Food Bank. And we have the CEO here, and we have Mr. Ron Burns here, and we have Ms. Shayna. And I have been working with these individuals for 3 years, and they have donated a significant amount of food to the city of South Fulton. And we will be giving them $100,000 of our American Rescue funds in order for them to continue to help the residents in this area and region. So this proclamation reads, whereas the Atlanta Community Food Bank was founded with the purpose of fighting food insecurity, engaging, educating, and empowering communities across the nation. Its mission focuses on food distributions and other services. They seek to meet the hunger needs of communities, households, and individuals who need help. And the Atlanta Community Food Bank partners with over 700 nonprofit partners, including food pantries, community kitchens, child care centers, shelters, and senior centers, to distribute over 67 million meals to more than 1 million people estimated to be food insecure due to COVID-19 in 29 counties across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. And whereas the Atlanta Community Food Bank is also a member of Feeding America, the nation's leading domestic hunger relief charity. And whereas the Atlanta Community Food Bank covers a wide range of opportunities for people to learn and get involved, from volunteering individuals, time to seeking security. Also, it covers a wide range of opportunities for people to learn and get involved. And the Atlanta Community Food Bank uses more than 1,700 volunteers a month, over 150 staff members, a large fleet of trucks, and the largest food banking facility in the United States to procure and distribute food and grocery items received from hundreds of donors. Our donors include manufacturers, wholesalers, retailers, brokers, restaurants, food drives, farmers, and individuals. The product is easily accessed by partners and agencies. And where the Atlanta Community Food Bank has historically given food for free at no charge to residents of the city of South Fulton over the past 2 years, and provided food for a number of nonprofit organizations for several food distribution events in the past for the city of South Fulton during fiscal 2020, 21, and 22. Now, there it be resolved, the mayor and the city council of the city of South Fulton congratulate the Atlanta Community Food Bank on their tremendous service and contributions to the communities and citizens of the city of South Fulton. Do now proclaim May 25th as Atlanta Community Food Bank in the city of South Fulton, Georgia. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, Council Member Willis, the entire City Council, the residents of the City of South Fulton. It's funny, we were just at we had an all-staff meeting that we raced over here from, and in that meeting we shared that we were coming over here to be with you all to receive this award. And what I shared with the staff is that we needed to give you an award. We're certainly very grateful for this recognition, but you know, the food bank, as you described, our mission is to engage, educate, and empower the community to fight hunger. And what that really means is we provide kind of resources and a platform that help folks in their local community figure out how to make a difference. And there just aren't very many people, many leaders and communities, but there aren't many leaders, Councilmember Willis, across the region we serve who kind of took that that basic notion more seriously than you did. I mean, you reached out early on and said, hey, we've got to feed people in our community, folks are hurting, how can you help us? And it was our obligation to show up and do what we could to help you accomplish what you set out to do. So we're really proud and humbled to be part of the amazing service that you have provided here. It's made a huge difference. It's kept people safe and healthy during this crisis. And we look forward to many years of working together to build as strong a City of South Fulton community that we can. Thank you, and thanks for having us.
And we have brought on, we have two newly elected officials who have who is helping me in this cause, and that's Council Members J.C. Sebastian and Council Member Natasha Williams. They are both out, not feeling well today, but I want to thank you. This was a huge effort, and they have come on council and jumped in full speed ahead to make sure that we continue our Feeding the City of South Fulton effort. Did you have anything to say, Mayor?
Thank you all for all that you do. All right, Mr. Clerk, will you sound the next item?
Yes, sir. The next item is Roman numeral 7, public comments. And I'll read the instructions for today's public comment. The City of South Fulton believes that any member of the general public should be afforded the opportunity to address the mayor and city council, provided that designated rules are followed by the speaker. Any member of the public who wishes to address the mayor and city council and offer public comment on items within the mayor and city council's jurisdiction may do so during the public comment period of the meeting. However, no formal action will be taken on matters that are not a part of the posted agenda. Members of the general public wishing to make public comments at a City of South Fulton City Council meeting must be a resident of the City of South Fulton. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. A bell will signal the end of each speaker's time. Public comments shall be limited to only those items appearing on the current City Council meeting agenda. Each speaker must complete and submit a request to speak form in its entirety prior to the beginning of the meeting. The person desiring to speak should rise, address the City Council, and when recognized, state their name, address, and the agenda item that they are addressing, and the City Council district in which they reside. All remarks should be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member. To ensure the opportunity for all of those desiring to speak before the city council, there is no yielding of time to another speaker. Speakers may not employ obscenities or threats of violence in their comments. Speakers shall not be allowed to make remarks that have been legally recognized to not be protected speech, comments while addressing the council. And speakers may not use public comments to campaign for political office, either for themselves or on behalf of other candidates, for the purposes of limiting political influence on city employees and encouraging orderly and efficient meetings. With that being said, I will call the first couple speakers, and please come to one of the microphones up front and state your name, address, item you're addressing. You will have 2 minutes, and we do have a couple of speakers online. So the first speaker is Ms. Connie Robinson.
More conversations with the community will take place in a subsequent meeting with the owner to discuss potential retail at the gas station. I encourage the mayor and the council to deny this rezoning request. No to the changing of the zoning from C1 to C2, and Councilwoman Gomes, no liquor stores in District 2, and no more liquor stores in the city of South Fulton. Thank you.
Next speaker is Ms. Deborah Kennedy, and after Ms. Kennedy, Mr. Charles Warrior, Jr.
Short people. Good evening. Deborah Kennedy, 335 Cascade Rise Court, representing the Cascade Hills subdivision and the Summit at Cascade. We stand in opposition to M22002 CV21004. And I count myself lucky, as Paul said to King Agrippa, to stand before you today because all of you know the issues at Cascade Road and Fulton Industrial. We did meet with the builder on 3 different occasions and nothing changed our mind. The problems at Cascade Road and Fulton Industrial Boulevard have been well documented by GDOT, by FIB-CID, and the Atlanta Regional Commission. And the commission has listed this intersection in its congestion management system. The applicant's own travel study has confirmed these findings. As my neighbors who are standing are demonstrating, the number of accidents at this intersections are outrageous. There are approximately 5 to 9 accidents a month. Yet the applicant wants to introduce 500 cars within 600 feet of FIB. And worse, it appears the staff wants to introduce 700 with their recommendation of up to 396 apartments. Just imagine introducing that many cars into the middle of the Grady curve. Yet that's what's being proposed. In all due respect to Alliance, I know they spent a lot of money, time, and energy on this effort, but this is not the right spot. We, the community, the Fulton County Commissioners recognize these problems, and on 2 occasions they stood with the community. Now we ask the council to stand with us. With only one way in and one way out, this project has measurable negative effect on the community. If you stand with us and vote no, we will stand with you if the applicant or the owner take legal action. Thank you.
Charles Warrior, Jr., 355 Cascade Rise Court, Zone District 1. I'm in opposition to the apartments at 5400 Cascade Road. The modification is Z2014001. Mayor and City Council. The modification is Z20114-14001, item 4D, requiring improvement of Old Cascade Road from Fulton Industrial Boulevard to Cascade Road as a requirement by the Fulton County Traffic Engineer, should remain in place to address item number 3 under transportation under staff comments to improve Old Cascade Road from the dead end to the new.
Campbellton Road and Fulton Industrial Boulevard. And I again request that the city council vote no to change the zoning. The zoning change, while it would benefit the applicant financially, would definitely be a detriment to the community. Numerous studies have been done that, and it's obvious, just if you watch the news and live life, that there is a direct correlation between the number of liquor stores in a community and the amount of violent crime. I think that by approving this zoning change and granting the permit for this liquor store, it would be a slap in the face to our police department, who has worked so diligently to help ensure that the city of South Fulton is a safe place to live. I feel that it also would be a detriment to property values, and it is not reflective of the kinds of commercial development that the residents have long been requesting and telling city leaders that they want and need. In the last presentation by the applicant, he mentioned having to provide 24-hour or armed security during the business hours of the liquor store. And again, I present to you that there are many other businesses that would be more suitable for that location that would not require armed security and would be a big benefit to residents.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. That's your 2 minutes, so sorry.
Are you Ms. Robinson? Okay.
Hi, I'm Connie Robinson, and I currently reside in District 2, but I was previously a resident of District 1 in Cascade Hills. So as Deborah Kennedy and Charles Warrior just spoke earlier about the apartments that are trying to be built at, I believe it's 5600 or something, Old Cascade Road, that would really be a disservice to the community and the residents that are residing there. I'm standing before you on behalf of a City of South Fulton coalition, collaboration group, which represents roughly 2,800 homeowners here in the city, across the city. And one of the things that we have been trying to advocate for is more infrastructure being built out. We have all of these homes coming, apartments coming, but there's nothing to address our city services, our schools, and other things that would benefit not just the community at large that is here, but those that are coming forward. And those are some of the things that we want to see. What are you going to do about our city services? How are you going to increase that? Now we already have we're addressing issues with killings in schools, and they want to pull our police off the streets and put them in the schools and give them have them do more perimeter checks and things like that. But we already have limited resources. We already don't have a hospital. We already are striving to express the different things that we need other than rooftops. And so as it relates to that particular issue with building those townhouse apartments, that traffic is horrendous. I have actually stood in that traffic for 10 minutes just coming out of Cascade Hills trying to get up to the signal light. And if you're going to add 300-400 more apartments, which might add another 800 or so vehicles to that traffic, you are really barricading the community with trying to get through Fulton Industrial, Cascade Road, and other areas within the city. So please, deny.
And the next speaker is Mrs. Naima Gilliard. Ms. Gilliard, can you please unmute? State your name. You have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes. Ms. Gilliard, would you please unmute? Ms. Gilliard, would you please? Last call. Former Councilmember Gilliard, please unmute. Please unmute. Mr. Mayor, it looks like I can try. Are you there? There?
Hello?
Yes,
we can hear you, Councilwoman.
Yes,
we can hear you, Councilwoman.
Just give me 1 second. Give me one.
And if necessary, those of you all, we got your yes, Councilwoman Williams. You can always use the chat box. We can see that, and you can raise your hand to vote as well. All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is Roman numeral 9, alcohol license rezoning variance modification cases for motion and vote. The public hearing for these items was held on May 10th. Number 17, request council approval of an alcohol license for Mingles Bar and Grill 2, CEO doing business as Mingles Bar and Grill 2, for an alcohol license for the consumption sales of wine, beer, and distilled beverages at 5425 Old National Highway, South Fulton, Georgia, 30349.
I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
I didn't hear the
There was a, Councilman Reeves, would you raise your hand if you made a motion to approve that item, please? That item, please. That item, please.
Okay, yes, I did. Hold on, I'm doing it now, sir.
All right, we hear you now. It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
Roll call vote, Councilmember Rao,
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes,
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves, Mayor Pro Tem Reeves,
Aye.
Councilmember Williams. I have a yes in the chat.
Yes.
That item was approved unanimously.
All right. Can we vote in the queue yet? Or let's do, we're gonna try a show of hands because they can raise their hands online. We can see you and we can raise our hands here. I will entertain a motion.
Oh, it's already been approved. We're on the next item.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Next item, please.
And Mr. Mayor, if we can get in the queue, we should be able to vote too, so just for the record. We're on item 12, council to approve the authorization. Oh, I'm on the wrong item.
18.
Item 18, I'm sorry. Request council approval of an alcohol license for the Blue Marlin Bistro LLC, doing business as the Blue Marlin Bistro, for an alcohol license for the consumption sales of wine, beer, and distilled beverages at 5495 Old National Highway, Suite B15, South Fulton, Georgia, 30349.
I'll entertain a motion. Councilman Reeves is signaling his motion to approve. Is there a second? Because I asked him to raise his hand. Would you like to speak, Councilman Reeves? Councilwoman Natasha Williams, I'm looking at the screen, has seconded the motion. It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, would you raise your hand, please? Yes. I'm going to try and move this along.
Okay, I have three. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves, Councilmember Sebastian Williams, will you raise your hand or indicate in the chat?
I see 3 here in my chat.
Got it, that's
All
approved.
right. All right, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 16, M22-002, CV 21-004, 5400 Cascade Road, request for modification to conditions Z 2014-001 to update the site plan and change requirements for road improvements with a concurrent variance to reduce the stream buffer. It's located in District 1.
I'll entertain a motion.
As it relates to case M22-002 and CV 21-0004 for 5400 Cascade Road, This case is complicated by the denial of access to FIB. The conditions originally imposed were to ameliorate the negative conditions or effects of a large number of apartments and the related vehicles and traffic on Cascade Road, which is not designed for that kind of volume. I move to deny the request for modification to conditions Z2004-001, as I do not find that they meet the following criteria as outlined in section 80306 of the zoning ordinance. Specifically, the suitability of the subject property for the zone purpose, the length of time the property has been vacant as zone, considered in the context of land development in the area in the vicinity of the property, and the fact that the zoning proposal will adversely affect the existing use or usability of adjacent properties. The AL is also incompatible with the regional live work category.
So moved.
Second. Thank you.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Okay, I have Councilmember Reeves, Councilmember Sebastian, and Councilmember Williams. Okay, that's unanimous.
Okay.
I thought he said he can do the vote.
It's unanimous. All right, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 20. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves.
Councilman Reeves, would you happen to be on a cell phone?
Oh, he raised his hand, so.
Okay. All right.
So that was approved unanimously.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please sound the next item.
Next item is item 22. It's the first reading of an ordinance to waive distance requirements for a gas station located at 3505 Cascade Road, South Fulton, Georgia, 30311. It's located in District 1.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yes. It's the first read.
It's first read, yes.
All right. Any questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 23. This is the second reading and request for council approval of an ordinance to amend the City of South Fulton zoning ordinance for the purpose of amending the regulations for the initiation of zoning changes and for the lawful purposes.
I move to approve the text amendment as written.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Can you? Yes. I'll go in. I'm sorry. I didn't want him to have to switch the screen because I don't want to mess up nothing. But I did go in the queue.
Okay, I'm waiting to see the queue.
Oh, you want the queue? Okay.
Oh, I see you. Never mind. I have the queue on my screen. Go ahead, Councilman Willis.
So, yes, this is CDRA. Can you explain, just for the purposes of the public?
Give us 1 second. Let's get your mic on.
Lord have mercy.
Okay, you're ready now. Yes.
Good evening. What this amendment does is rewrite the text amendment and rezoning initiation procedures where City Council or members of the public for successive applications, when they can apply, it just clarifies when that reapplication can occur. There was previously a couple of internally conflicting timelines and whether or not it was the application or the actual final decision. So what this does is just definitively say that the applicant cannot apply until 9 months and does not put that restriction on City Council for any City Council initiated rezonings or special use permits.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Seeing no other discussion, I will entertain a motion. We did that already. We're in discussion.
Yeah, I'm finished.
All right, Mr. Clerk, would you all please vote?
Councilman Sebastian, would you like to register your vote?
You can also text it in the chat if you need to. Okay, there we go. It's unanimous. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 24. This is a first reading of an ordinance TA 22-001, a zoning text amendment to provide additional guidance for off-street parking of commercial vehicles. This was sponsored by Councilmember Williams.
Councilman Reeves?
Williams.
Williams, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Williams. Councilwoman.
It's the first read.
Councilwoman.
It's the first.
Yes, thank you. This is a first read.
All right. There's no other discussion. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Yes, we're on agenda items, part 1, under finance. Item 25, second reading, and request council approval of an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2022 budget for General Fund and American Rescue Plan of the City of South Fulton, Georgia, appropriating the amount showing in each fund as expenditures expenses, adopting the several items of revenue anticipations, prohibiting expenditures or expenses from exceeding the actual funding available and for the lawful purposes. It's budget amendment number 2, finance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As we said, this is our mid-year budget, and I'm asking the council to approve a budget amendment of 1.8 million, so $1,893,873, with $1,393,000 from our prior year fund balance, and then $500,000 from our American Rescue Plan Act, which is a portion. Travis is available. I'll have to get that for you because I don't have that notated here.
And also, this is a general question. I know we have American Rescue Act funds, and they went to the conversions on the fountains and water to be safer, and this facility didn't have that.
No, we didn't include anything for this facility.
Okay.
No.
I would ask that you would look at that. I'm not trying to hold this up, but I would like you to look at that. I just want to verify that that would deal with some of the repairs to this building. Is Mr. Landrum around?
Mr. Toms, can you see if Mr. Landrum's available?
Or if Mr. Toms can answer, that'll be fine.
We'd probably rather have Mr. Landrum come in.
While
we can always.
While we're waiting for Mr. Landrum, Dr. Rao, did you have another question, or can we circle back to this?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Let's keep it moving.
I'm in a queue.
Okay, Councilman Willis.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mayor. My question is, number one, risk management, $900,000, several unprocessed invoices from the prior staff, new numbers coming in for the liability insurance costs. Ms. Sally Jones or the finance director, do we not have financial controls in place or checks and balances in place to catch bills when they're not being paid?
Well, this particular bill was not sent to the city until late. It actually came in around March, so it was really on the vendor. The vendor did not notify the city that this bill was delinquent. It should have been paid in March of 2021.
Okay, so it says several unprocessed invoices, though. So what does that mean, several?
Well, it actually was just one. That's a typo. It's just one, and it's for our liability insurance. Like the bill just came in, or the quote came in at 1.9 million. So it should have been divided so that at least 5 months would have been paid for last year, and then the rest of it would have been allocated for this year. And that was not properly handled by the formal staff who was handling risk management.
So even if I don't get a bill from, and don't take this because I'm not trying to be condescending, I'm just a little confused because even if Georgia Power don't send me my bill, I still know I'm supposed to have I have to pay for my electricity. Right. And so my question is, this is a insurance that the city knows that they have to have. And again, checks and balances, even though we may not have been sent a bill, we know we have that expense and it's supposed to be paid. So that's where my concern is. Even if we don't get an invoice, there are certain insurances the city has to have. Is there any checks, or can there be some checks and balances in place? So even if we don't get an invoice, we know we got to pay it. Like, you know, online banking, we have, several of us have online banking. Well, at least I do. And I have my bills set up. And even if I don't get an invoice, for whatever reasons, the mail is slow or whatever, I know that bill is due. And so that's what I'm confused about.
And now there is a check and balance because you have HR and you have finance who's aware of this invoice. And moving forward, during the time last year, you had staff transitioning. And so staff was not available to make everyone aware that this invoice was out there.
So risk management falls up under what department?
Finance.
It falls under finance, but when did it come under finance?
It's always been like that. HR just kind of took over it because they were in transition with staff. And so nobody was actually on board in the finance director position to handle it.
And Councilmember Willis, as you mentioned, now going forward, we should be able to account for these invoices. We know it's an annual premium that we have to pay, so hopefully, we won't have any issues going forward. And most likely, I will be working with Ms. Slayton-Dixon and also Germa to make sure that if they are mailing the invoice, they also follow up and maybe send us an email. But it's my understanding, as she mentioned, just being very honest, the employee previously did not finance it or pay it for us, process it for us.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. My second question is, I see we have 2 stages proposed to purchase for Park and Recreation. Ms. Sally Jones, for years, this council has asked for our Park and Recreation department to purchase equipment for our Screen on the Green activities that several of us have in the summer and spring months. And when we have to rent that equipment, it's relatively, it's not cheap. And so, did we get that, or?
Yes, ma'am, you had requested it, and we included that amount in here.
Oh,
is Mr. Landry
where is
here
it?
yet?
I just want to be sure because
can you make
every
sure?
year somebody has said we getting this equipment and we don't never get it. So
Okay. This is the first time I'm hearing about the screens, but we did put it in after we had initially presented our proposal to you.
Okay, so it's accounted for in the 240,000.
I think it's in the 127. Have we? Is our Park and Rec director here
number
yet?
6, 240.
Oh, what is it in?
You're talking about for the stage?
No, the screens.
Oh, the screens. Okay, so the 127.
So you think it's accounted for in item number 4?
I think it's accounted for in item number 4 because I do remember you asking about it.
Okay. All right, he's not here.
No.
Well,
it's
you're
my
the city
understanding
manager,
he
so
has
he reports to you. So if you could just, on the record.
Yes, ma'am.
We got some screens for our green. What is it?
Green on the
Yeah,
green.
I'm sorry, projects. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Reeves.
Thank you, Mayor, for recognizing me. I want to go back to something, Madam Dixon, is for the edification of the public on this invoice. Did you say it was on the vendor the mistake was on the vendor for sending the invoice late?
Part of that, because the invoice was actually sent to a former staff. And so because it went directly to that former staff, no one else received it. And so they reminded the city about the invoice this year in March.
A year later? A year?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Okay. Madam Jones, is what I'm asking for is on this amended budget, particularly to the funds for the rescue funds, can we get a line item update monthly in your reports on where that money is going, and this line item expense as it trickles on down into where that money is actually going, so that we can have that for transparency purposes if anybody requests? I'm requesting it though.
Yes, sir, we can, and we've been including the money that, things that we've used it for in our monthly finance report that Ms. Slayton-Dixon does, but we can certainly continue to provide that to the council. I mean, these are federal funds, so we will be very careful, to making sure that we're using it for all eligible uses.
And just for the edification of the public, is that in their line item expense?
Can you repeat that? You said, is that in the line item expense?
Correct.
Yes, there's $500,000 that we're recommending be used in this budget amendment number 2.
You clear, Mr. Councilman Reeves?
Clear,
All right, we're
yes,
going.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, just a comment and a few quick questions, Ms. Dixon. Well, first, I think some of the questions that we heard about the invoice return us to a common theme that we've had in our city around balls being dropped in transitions between employees and administrations. So one of the things that I will be very eager to see in the report of our operational audit is some best practices for how we transition between department heads or administrations, including, mayor and council, how we make sure that there's just some sort of transition period where tasks and institutional knowledge is not lost. This will also be a question for Mr. Landrum, City Manager Jones, but the status of the current park stage. So we have one park stage that is in disrepair and a second park stage that is being purchased. As summer is upon us, and several people are chomping at the bit to deploy those stages, when will both of them be ready? So when will the first one be fixed? When will the second one be delivered? Just so we can do some expectation setting. And then lastly, returning to this issue of insurance, I heard, and I thought that one of the reasons that there was a delay in the delivery of the bill is because our premium was readjusted and went up. But I thought with some of the HR policy changes that we made in April, I think it was March or April, I can't remember, that the premium would actually go down. Has that made its way through the system? Might our premium go back down, or was that already calculated in the delivery of this premium?
No, I redid the calculation once we actually received the new calculations on last week.
Right. I guess I'm asking, did the new calculations include those policy changes? I think there was particularly like a alcohol policy or something. There were a couple of policies we were advised by HR, if you want to speak to that, that would bring our premiums down. Go ahead. Give us 1 second to get your mic and you're ready to go. just make sure it's turned on. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In regards to the drug-free workplace that you're speaking of that we would get, that's towards the policy for the workers' comp. The policy that we are renewing right now is property and liability. So two separate policies.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So if there's any, I'm sure you all are researching every way we can to lower our insurance premium. So if there's any policies that we can put in place that will bring it back down, please let us know.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. And with that, I think we had a motion and a second to approve this item. So if there's no other discussion, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
I'm looking for my answer.
I'm sorry. Oh, I think that Mr. Landrum is not here, and we're going to get it over email.
Yes, he had to go to another parks facility, so we will follow up via email with those answers.
Does anybody know what's in that $30,000?
I do think that it doesn't preclude us. This is our second or third budget amendment, so it doesn't preclude us from bringing another budget amendment.
Right.
If we need to. We do have one more voting meeting on June 14th.
I wanted clarity, but it's fine. Let's move.
Oh. Go ahead, Councilman Willis. Oh, the vote. It looks like the vote is the queue is actually open. The vote has begun.
Can we get a little bit more detail so we won't have to put staff ask staff to confirm things? Because if they say, I know you're saying you sure it's in there, but I don't know. So, and then Councilmember Rao has the same question.
Okay. We followed the same process we've used in the past, so what we'll do is provide an example to you, and you can let us know if that's as detailed as you want it to be, or if it needs to be more detailed, we can definitely work with the council to get you what you want.
Right, and Ms. Sally-Jones, if you go back and look at some of our previous tapes on budget amendments, this is not the first time we've asked. Yeah, I know this is you all are doing what you typically do, but we have asked several council members, colleagues, we've asked for them to be a little bit more specific so we don't have to ask for the level of detail right here at the council meeting.
Okay, all right, we can definitely do that.
Thank you.
This is only our second one, but yeah, we can definitely do that.
Okay, we're voting, waiting on your vote, Rao, Sebastian, and Williams. All right, thank you. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 26, request council approval of proposed option 3 to conduct an operational audit of the Finance, Human Resources, Information Technology, and Public Works Departments, not to exceed $159,000, $159,400. This is a finance item, Malden and Jenkins.
Mayor, Council, this is in conjunction with what you all directed, requested from the city manager, that we actually do an operational audit on all of the city departments. And so just to make it easy, we broke it down into starting with finance, HR, IT, and public works, since these 4 departments are pretty much work closely together, and it would kind of set the frame for our other departments. So Malden and Jenkins has given us a proposal, and so I'm suggesting that we go with the option 3, which is $159,400, which would give us the number of hours that we need to actually complete this project, which they say will take anywhere from 90 to 100 days. And within 75 days of starting the project, they will bring back a proposal or kind of a semi-finding of what they find in doing their operational audit. And then once we do these 4 departments, then we'll move and come back and ask for them to look at the police, the fire, and I believe that's our community development, because they've already completed an operational audit on our Parks and Rec, so we won't include Parks and Rec with Malden and Jenkins' operational audit. And so this will actually look at the processes within each one of these departments, is what this operational audit will do.
Is this a new queue? Okay.
Dr. Rao?
So I know we just looked at the one with Parks and Rec. It seemed to be focused more on the financial aspects and how money was flowing through our system. When you talk about operations, is that the same process you'll be looking at for these various departments, or will it go into more depth?
It's actually going to go into more depth, and it's not going to be looking at from the financial piece, because of course IT doesn't handle money and HR doesn't handle money. So more or less the operational, like with finance, we're talking about looking at how we're doing with our contracts, whether or not we're overlapping with a lot of contracts or services, whether or not we're just operating as a finance department best practice with just our staff and some of the things that we're doing as a department.
Okay, thank you. Let me, one other follow through. The finance, would that include the procurement? Because I know
Yes,
me and Councilman Reeves really want to look at this.
Yes, it's going to include procurement, correct.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
You, Councilman Sebastian?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I want to make a recommendation for us to hold this item until after our executive session, because I have some questions and maybe even some recommendation that I at least want us to consider that could affect personnel. And so I wanted to at least hear those things out before voting on this item. So I want to make a motion to hold this until after executive session.
Second.
Do we already have a motion?
I'm sorry?
Did we already have a motion?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councilmember Sebastian. Let me take a vote on that. Or would it? Yeah, okay. Let me take a vote on that.
What's come up in the queue is a motion for approval, and not a motion to table.
Yes, ma'am. I had previously put in there prematurely approval, but this is a motion to hold this item until after executive session.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I'll hold my question for executive session regarding this item.
Okay. I mean, now that it's been tabled, I think everyone has to hold their comment. Is that correct? All right, it's been tabled. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 27, request council approval of a financial services agreement with Piper Sandler, Edmund Wall for the period May 1, 2022 through May 30 of 2025, with the option to renew for an additional 3 years. Finance.
Mayor, Council, this is an agreement that the city actually entered in with Piper Sandler December 6th of 2017, and it actually expired on March the 20th, 2020, and it's with Piper Sandler, Ed Wall, and he's actually provided financial services to the city of South Fulton, in Pacific to the URA, and he's also been providing some financial advisory services to the city for the Parks and Rec master plan. So in order for him to continue to provide this financial services, we have to get a current agreement in place. And so we're asking for this agreement to run from May 1st, 2022 through May 30th, 2025, and then with the option to renew for 3 years. And this will be funded through the Finance Department, Professional Services.
I move to approve the financial services agreement with Piper Sandler for the period May 1st, 2022 through May 30th, 2025, with the option to renew for additional 3 years.
So move.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, Councilwoman Gomes.
So when you all considered the renewal for this contract, were the terms as far as the 3 years, were they negotiable at least? I mean, have we considered shorter term?
They didn't ask for it. I just put that in there, so that is not a requirement. They didn't ask that in their agreement. It was just something that finance was asking for, just to ensure that we had somebody on board to advise us for things like bonds and things of that nature.
And then also too, as far as your evaluation to reconsider this particular contract, what terms did you look at as far as, I guess, the measures of success for the city?
Pretty much looked at the fact of he was able to negotiate even with the URA for the city, and then the services that he's been able to provide for the Parks and Rec master plan, and the option to be able to fund that particular project.
And going forward with this scope of work that is planned out, you already have that scheduled for his particular contract?
Not yet. It's because it's on an as-needed basis. When things come up, like the Parks and Rec master plan came up, and that's when we reached out to him to provide us some guidance on how to fund that project. So it will be on an as-needed basis.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilman Willis.
I would like to add that his services has been valuable to me when I've had questions, finance questions regarding finance and bonds, and just trying to understand the financial matters of the city. I know you deal with the general fund a lot. I know you deal with accounts payable, accounts receivable, but when it comes to financing, a more in-depth financial advice or needing an understanding of financial instruments, he has been valuable to me and to, all council members have access to him as well.
That's correct.
All right, and Councilman Reeves.
Madam Dixon, what was the amount that we paid to him so far based on the financial advice he has given to date?
Since I've been on board, he's only sent one invoice, and that was about $3,000. I'll have to look at the prior time to see what we actually paid him.
Okay, and then, because he is available to all council members, is that billable? Does he bill that per hour, per conversation?
Yes, it is per hour. It's like $125 per hour. Or let me make sure it's in the agreement. It's actually $250 per hour.
Thank you. And then this agreement upon, you said that this is finance who is making this 3 years, but his proposal to the city is based on 1 year?
That's correct. That's correct.
So should this read then 1 year with 2 1-year options to renew?
If you will, let me just make sure that it's in there. Well, we can do that. I was just trying to make it a 3-year agreement just for the sake of time, but we can change it from May 1st, 2022 till May 30th of 2024. 23, I meant to say.
Yeah, with 2 1-year options to renew, right? So you'll still have your safety net there, but his contract will reflect, what we're stating will reflect what he sent into the city.
Okay. All right.
You done, Councilwoman Williams?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I guess for my own curiosity, if they had only requested, I guess, 1 year, and you felt it was more appropriate to ask for 3 years, could you, I guess, kind of share what was your rationale or your thinking for why you would want the 3 year instead of the 1 year?
It's just been in my time past of just prior employers that we at least do 3 years with that option to say if funds are not available, then we don't renew the agreement. That's just normal how most agreements are working with city, and it would just save us the time of having to bring it back before council. But of course, if funds are not available in the next budget cycle, then this agreement would be null and void.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no more, oh, Dr. Rao.
Just really quick, since I haven't used them on an individual basis, but I hear people saying that, how do you control costs? Because what if a council member goes and asks questions and that's your budget? How do we have controls in place so that we don't run that budget bill up? Of course, 3,000 is, as needed periodically. We don't want all of a sudden get a bill and we find out that somebody's been, getting some individual consultation. How will we control that?
I think I will defer that to the city manager. Maybe she could be that person that makes contact.
I think it should be to make sure that.
Yeah, and what I would also do is, let Mr. Wall know that if he is contacted, that he needs to also contact me to make me aware.
Okay.
And because we do need to know, what those costs could potentially be if other people are reaching out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, may I speak?
Councilwoman Willis.
For the record, have you received the bill from me talking to Mr. Wall?
I have not.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take the vote, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we had a motion by Councilman Morale, second by Councilmember Willis to approve, and I believe through clarification with Mayor Pro Tem Reeves that the language should change from May 1st, 2022 through May 30th, 2024. That motion is in order. The voting is open. That item was approved unanimously.
All right, please sound the next item. I believe it's the George and Michael contract.
Yes, it's the actual item that we added to the agenda. It's an item to authorize city manager to utilize a single source or emergency exemption to select Georgia Micro Enterprise Network Incorporated to administer mortgage assistance funds on behalf of the city for an amount not to exceed $1.4 million.
So moved.
And because this item was added, we would have to take a hand or voice vote because it's not in the system.
All right, so please call the vote.
Well, I had a so move. I had a motion by Councilman Morale, seconded by
Gums.
Okay. Roll call vote. Councilman Morale.
Yes.
Councilmember Gums. Yes. Councilmember Willis. Councilmember Sebastian. Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Williams. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. That item is approved unanimously.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 28 under City Charter and Council Affairs. Second reading and request council approval of an ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute certain contracts and agreements on behalf of the city previously approved and adopted by the city council and for other lawful purposes. This is sponsored by Councilmember Willis.
I'll entertain a motion.
I need to speak. Well, I'll go ahead and move to approve, and then if it's okay, I would like to speak. I'll go on the queue. I move that we approve to authorize the city manager to execute certain contracts and agreements on behalf of the city.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
It's not discussion. I was going to just make a statement that this will alleviate any bottleneck of any operations that need to occur, operation functions that need to occur for us to sign, and for the city manager to proceed in the case the mayor is unavailable to sign contracts.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Please take the vote, Mr. Clerk.
Voting is open. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Reeves registers no. Councilmember Sebastian. That item is approved 5-1.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 29, second reading, request council approval of an ordinance to amend the City of South Fulton's Charter, Article 3, Organizational Government, General Authority, and Ordinances, Section 3.21, submission of ordinance to the mayor and for the lawful purposes. This is sponsored by Councilmember Williams.
I will entertain a motion.
Move the acceptance of this ordinance to amend the City of South Fulton Charter, Article 3, Organization of Government, General Authority, and Ordinances, Section 3.21, submission of ordinances to the mayor.
So move.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, please open the vote, Mr. Clerk.
That item was approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 30, second reading, request council approval of an ordinance of the City of South Fulton, Georgia to amend requirements and processes for proposed ordinances and resolutions and for the lawful purposes. This is sponsored by Councilmembers Rao, Willis, Williams, and Gumbs.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, please open the vote.
Voting is open. That item is approved unanimously.
All right. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 31. This is the first reading of an ordinance amending the selection of members to the ethics panel. This is sponsored by Council Members Willis, Gumbs, Williams, and Reeves.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
That's first read.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a first read. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk.
This is the first read, so I'll defer to the next council.
Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 32. Request council approval of a resolution authorizing human resources policies and procedures update. This is a reference to the elected office political involvement, sponsored by Human Resources.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'm sorry, could we have, first I would like to hear from Human Resources about this ordinance, please. Thank you.
And I'm in the queue. this needs to be corrected. I'm gonna ask you a question. Ms. Sadler-Jones.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. So this ordinance was written in conjunction with myself and legal to basically provide to council in response to their request to have something that addresses employees that are running for election or official positions.
Councilwoman Willis.
Ms. Sadler-Jones, this was a request that I made when we approved the other set of HR policies. I requested that this policy be drafted and put into our policy. And so the sponsorship should not be human resources. It should be the council member who requests for policies to be drafted like all of our other policies. So can this be corrected?
Yes, we can correct it.
Thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Ms. Sadler-Jones.
If you just list who you want to be the sponsor, we can make that after whatever the council's vote is.
I sent an email a week ago requesting that, and it was never done.
Okay.
Okay. Any other? Okay. So understanding that this did not originate out of the Human Resources Office, is this your recommended? Do you recommend this policy?
Yes, I wrote the policy for council.
All right. Thank you. All right. Seeing no more discussion, please open the vote, Mr. Clerk.
Need a motion and a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll entertain a motion.
So move, I guess.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote.
Voting is open. And that item was approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 33, request council approval of a resolution implementing South Fulton Communications Standard Operating Procedures and Policies. This is sponsored by Councilmember Willis.
Councilman Willis?
Yes. So we are, where's Mr. Landrum, isn't here?
Mm-mm.
Mr. Leftwich?
Are you talking about Mr. Leftwich?
Yes.
He's here.
I meant Mr. Leffridge. Mr. Leffridge, do you want to come up? I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time, but if you want to come up, I work with Mr. Leffridge to come up with some basic communication standards for the city. Mr. Leffridge, if you can just give us a short synopsis.
Yes, this is the plan that was presented in March to the council. It ensures a unified voice for the city, that we are making sure that everything we say is aligned and in the same language. It applies to social media, media relations. It applies to the website, to emails, and it sets forth branding guidelines for the new city logo as well as the city seal.
Thank you, Mr. Leffridge. And Council, just to let you know that this does not, we have to govern ourselves accordingly. This does not censor us as elected officials in any way, but we do ask that we read these guidelines that are outlined in this policy and try to govern ourselves accordingly. Thank you. I move that we approve this measure.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none. I'm sorry, give me 1 second, please. All right, seeing none, please open the vote.
That item is approved unanimously.
All right. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 34. Request council approval of a resolution appointing probate judge Kenya Johnson to the Charter Commission as a representative of the City of South Fulton City Council, calling for the creation of a Charter Commission, identifying the names of appointees to the Charter Commission. This is sponsored by Council members Willis, Gumbs, Williams, and Reeves, and I believe Councilmember Ryle expressed support as well.
Okay, thank you. Are you?
I want to make sure we have the latest version of that.
Yes, the latest version of that.
Okay, so the latest version is, it lists all of the, not just the council's appointment, but all of the appointees of all of the.
Yes, it lists all of the appointees except for the two individuals that haven't appointed yet.
Okay, you can add my name as my appointee on that resolution.
No, sir, this is the council's appointee. You make your own.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no. I want to be clear. The resolution lists each person's appointee. I think you might want to, just for the benefit of some council members, they may not know. Yeah, do you want to put up the new resolution and just explain the changes that you made and why?
So my understanding, what you just said, you're appointing yourself to the Charter Commission.
Yes.
As your appointee.
Yes. But I think that it's not clear to everyone that the resolution was switched out to activate the Charter Commission with each person's appointee. And this is no longer let me back up. The original resolution that was we've had multiple versions of this agenda, and just for the benefit of council, we are going to move back our agenda planning to Tuesday so that we have more time to make sure that we have the agenda right the first time. But the first iteration of this resolution only listed the council's appointee, but under advisement from legal, we now have an activating resolution that lists every individual's appointee, including the 8 appointees, well, the 7 appointees amongst the 8 state representatives. So they all needed to be listed in one resolution. Is that correct, Attorney Hyman?
That was my understanding from discussion with Ms. McClendon, and I think Ms. Vernay kind of jointly on this one, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so this would be similar to like the activating resolution for a DDA or something like that. We just have to recognize all of the members of the commission. And Dr. Rao.
So point of order.
Yes, Councilman Wood.
The resolution that I requested, I understand what you're saying, Mayor, but the resolution I requested was for the city council appointment to be appointed to the Charter Commission. Now, if there needs to be another resolution confirming or codifying all the appointees, then by all means do that. But that is not what I requested to happen.
I'll refer to legal.
My specific request for the draft of this ordinance was to appoint the city council appointee Kenya Johnson to the Charter Commission, and it was sponsored by Willis, Gumbs, Williams, Reeves, and Rao asked to be added, and I don't have a problem with that. Whatever he asked whatever he asked the clerk to do, the proper process for him would have been to submit a request through the legal process.
Point of order, Councilmember Willis, point of information actually. I did not make this request. This actually came from legal and was sent out in the latest version of this agenda. So this is from legal itself.
Councilman Willis, according to the agenda title and what's been published, now this my packet that I got online is wrong, but it is titled for Judge Kenya Johnson, and also in my packet with the agenda it has your resolution.
So I'm confused. What resolution is this that got all these people in it and also appoints the mayor to the charter commission? Because that's not what my resolution should say.
So I wish Mr. McClendon was here, but my understanding in the emails, and I thought that they were sent to all of council when this new agenda was sent out. This was a surprise to me as well, but it's my understanding that the Charter Commission does not exist until it has been activated. So if it pleases the council to make your appointment, we would still then need a second resolution to activate
That's what needs to happen because
the
people
Charter
don't get to
Commission.
change my resolution.
I'm going to recognize Ms. Burnett. Do you have a mic? Thank you.
Good evening, council. I drafted this particular resolution per charter. Today, this meeting, we have to call for this charter commission. And I added both your appointment with the call of the charter commission into one resolution. And because we're calling for the charter commission, we went ahead and added the names of every member of that charter commission and left blanks for those who had not made appointments. And I believe that is what Mr. Mayor is doing now, to add his appointment since he had not listed his. But you still will get to confirm today by voting Judge Kenya Johnson as the council appointee, but also the names listed for the rest of them for them to get going on this 6 months that they have.
I understand. I wish it would have been better communication because that's not what I requested. I didn't request to have a comprehensive ordinance. My request was to just add the city council's person to the charter commission. Now, I'm going to ask legal if you can read the part of the charter that states that someone should be appointed. Can someone appoint themselves to the charter commission?
It's not specific. It does not state that you could not. That section.
Can you please state that section for the record, please?
That is section 7.18. One appointment by the mayor, one by the city council as a whole, one by each member of the Georgia House of Representatives, the Senate, whose district lies wholly or partially within the corporate boundaries of the city of South Fulton. The only requirement that they listed in here is that they must reside in the city of South Fulton.
Okay, and so they said one appointment by the mayor, and the person should be, okay. I just want to make sure because it's my understanding everybody was, we were supposed to make an appointment and the mayor was supposed to make an appointment. And a lot of times they go with the intent versus what is specifically, and the intent was for everybody, for the council to make an appointment, legislators to make an appointment,
right,
and for the mayor to make an appointment, not for us to be appointing ourselves. But for the sake of the charter commission to move forward, I'm going to go ahead and agree to what was done. But in the future, if I make a request through legal to have my legislation drafted one way, I just would ask kindly that if it's going to be a change, just, contact me directly like y'all usually do. That's it.
Yes, ma'am. So this particular resolution is to activate the charter and appoint Judge Kenya Johnson. You're not approving any of the members that are listed because it's not the city council role of approving. So your action today is to call for the commission and approve Judge Kenya.
Okay, I just want to make that clear because I know that is a concern that I don't think the intent of the charter was for any of us to appoint ourselves. And so I don't want this in any way to confirm that that's something that I'm in agreement with.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Wait, Ms. Burnett, before you, I think you're probably going to get a few more questions. I have a follow-up question. Senator Tate has not made a recommendation. This does not preclude her from making an appointment. This doesn't preclude her from making an appointment in the future, does it?
No, I interpret this to mean that the commission will move forward, and at which point that person, I look at it as us missing a council member right now. We have not stopped business, we carried on. So the commission could get started, and if someone jumps in a little later, it does not stop the clock. It'll be 6 months from the approval of the mayor after it is voted.
All right, thank you. Is this the cue for this, Dr. Rao?
Yes, but you really answered it, because I was going to ask about Senator Tate's not doing an appointment. Could the business go on? I'm fine. No further questions. I'm ready to vote.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williams?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask if somebody could please send me the copy of what we are voting on, because what's in the queue is I don't have an amended copy, and I don't see where it's been emailed to me by anybody in the attorney's office. So if I could please get a copy of what it is we're actually voting on, I would appreciate it.
Same here.
And Mayor.
Oh, hold on, if you can go back in the queue, I'm going to just keep going through this queue. Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I would like the document or the revised document to be sent to me as well. And if I'm understanding what is happening here, is it that we're under some deadline today to make this overall decision to activate the Charter Commission?
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing? Ms. Burnett?
Yes. Per charter, today is the first regular meeting after the city's anniversary, and we must call for the Charter Commission.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mr. Clerk Adams, I do see the other people in the...
Added, so that we can make this a unanimous thing for the City Council.
Your mic is still on. Do you have more questions, Councilman Sebastian? Mr. Clerk, it's been said twice. Was this not sent out before this meeting?
Yes, it should be in the package. The city attorney just showed me a draft that was a previous draft, but I need to check the system. But in the interest of the request, I just sent the updated resolution as amended.
Thank you. Councilman Reeves.
Sir, I'm Mr. Adams, I wouldn't doubt it, but I looked at, I'm not seeing it either in my email. And I'm just, I'm still searching right now, but I don't see it in the latest email. So if y'all can send that to me before I vote on this, I would like that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Willis.
So what's being put on the record is that all of us have been sent something. I think what needs to be put on the record is that we were sent something one way, and then it was changed, and it was resent. We did not get this agenda for valid reasons until late Friday evening. So please don't, imply that we're not paying attention to what's being sent to us. The thing is, I requested for the legislation to be drafted one way. It was drafted, and then it was changed, and the author of the legislation was not updated. I don't have a problem with us moving forward as we are moving forward, because I don't want to hold up the Charter Commission. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no more discussion, Mr. Clerk, please open the vote.
Vote is open.
I'm about sick of his dumb shit.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves, so would you like to place your vote?
Finish reading the resolution. Thank you.
That was approved unanimously.
Alrighty, please stay on the next item.
Next item is item 35, request council approval of an emergency ordinance declaring a state of emergency in the city of South Fulton, providing for city meetings to be held virtually, providing for an effective date and for other lawful purposes. And a companion item requests council approval of a revised zoning calendar to reflect summer council meeting recess. And this is two separate items.
I move that we maintain the opportunity for virtual meetings because they have to be separate, right?
So move.
Okay.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, I do have some discussion. We've been talking through this issue, and I just want to get clarity for all of us here on council. Attorney Hyman, this ordinance can only last for 30 days?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So it can last through this June 14th meeting.
Yes.
However, and this is the challenge with these ordinances, though they only last for 30 days at a time, the zoning meetings require 45 days of notice. Mm-hmm. And so this meeting has been noticed to be a public meeting, and we cannot change it because we are inside that 45-day window.
Understood.
The next point to understand is after the June 14th meeting, we will be on recess until August. In order to have that August meeting
have to meet in person.
virtually, we'll either have to call a special session in person before that August meeting to reinstate the ordinance, and that's just what we would have to do. Or we would need to plan for that August work session to be an in-person work session.
Agreed. Understood.
All right, with that understanding, and seeing no more discussion, Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. And I'm sorry, before you open the vote, I'm gonna ask one more question, because the Open Meetings Act only allows for 2 absences. I want to be clear that while we're under the state of emergency, does it suspend that count of 2?
That's not what open records.
Yes, if you're meeting under the ordinance, then yes, on the emergency ordinance. Also in the Open Meetings Act, a particular person could also get a medical excuse as well.
Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we were all clear. Councilwoman Willis.
So Can you send the council a written opinion? And I also have the documentation from taking the open records meeting training. The open records the Open Meetings Act allows for 2 unexcused absences. It allows for 2 unexcused absences. But if there are extenuating circumstances, there could be more absences. That is my understanding of the training I took at Georgia Municipal Association. So my question to you, Attorney Hyman, please research that and send an opinion to the council, if you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dr. Rao.
With this ordinance in place, in a situation where we have maybe members for whatever reason, as we have today, this would not count towards there too. Is that correct? Because it's an emergency and given the circumstances.
I would say without going into personal details,
Yeah,
I think that they would be covered.
Right. And
I agree completely. I just wanted to make that clear for the record. Councilwoman Willis.
The reason that I am asking you to opine on that, because we have 2 council members, without going into much detail, that are absent due to no fault of their own, and they should not. This absence should not count towards their unexcused absence.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. I think we're all saying the same thing. Councilmember Reeves, did you want to third that motion?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, are we under an emergency ordinance?
Yes.
Yes, I believe that we are. We are under emergency ordinance.
We are.
Under emergency ordinance.
Thank you.
All right. If all hearts and minds are clear, we're going to open the vote.
Councilmember Sebastian, did you wish to register your vote? I have that approved as 5-0.
All right. We have one more item, the elections that was added.
Yes, actually, we need a separate motion and vote on the request council approval of the revised zoning calendar to reflect the summer council meeting recess, which I believe includes the June 14th special call meeting.
I would like to request approval of a revised zoning calendar to reflect the summer council meeting recess and the June 14th meeting.
So moved.
I'm sorry, it's been properly moved and seconded. Please open the vote.
That item is approved unanimously.
Please sound the next item.
Next item is an item that was added to the agenda. Request council approval of an intergovernmental agreement for the provision of election services between Fulton County, Georgia and the city of South Fulton, Georgia, at no cost to the city for the administration of the special election for District 7.
I move that we approve the agreement with the Fulton County Board of Elections to conduct elections in November at no cost to the city.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the vote.
Yes, because the item was added, it's not in the system, so I have to
I'm
do
sorry,
a
yes.
roll call vote.
Please.
Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gums?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian? Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Reeves?
Can we take a raised hand?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilmember
Yes.
Willis?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Williams. So I have Williams, hand raised, Reeves.
Yes.
Thank you. That item is approved unanimously.
All right, and please sound the next item.
Mr. Mayor and Council, we are at the executive session number 1 and intermission.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be on intermission for about 20 minutes. We should be returning around 7:30.
May I move to recess for executive session for real estate, litigation, and personnel?
Okay.
No, because
Right, but there's no real estate in this one, but it's fine. Go ahead. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Oh, for executive session?
No, you're right. I have a motion for executive session. I just need a second, and it is for all 3 items.
It's for all 3 items. This will break us up. This will be paid all day. This will be paid all day. I asked for this.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote.
Oh, Jesus. I'm gonna have to call them from the car.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves, would you like to register? Thank you. That was unanimous. We are recessed for executive session at 7:06 p.m.
Pardon us for our dilatory return, but we are returning. So if everyone would take their seats, we are going to reconvene. I will accept a motion to reconvene.
I move to reconvene.
Second.
From executive session.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Let's just, while he's setting that up, let's just say, can I just hear a aye or nay, please?
Councilmember Rao?
Aye.
Councilmember Gums?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves? Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
We are reconvened at 7:49 p.m.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Would you want to go to the item that we held, or do you just want to go to the next item?
Let's go to the item that we held.
Item that was held pending executive sessions, item 26. Request council approval of proposed option 3 to conduct an operational audit of the Finance, HR, IT, and Public Works departments not to exceed $159,400.
I will entertain a motion.
I move that we conduct an operational audit of the Finance Department to include procurement, HR, IT, and Public Works Department not to exceed $159,400, and that a RFP be issued to identify the vendor.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to that motion. You forgot to say the city manager's office.
Oh, in the city manager's office.
And then and the other friendly amendment I would like to make is to add, they only did the audit for the tennis center and not the entire park and recreation, so we need to add them too.
Was it just, I thought it was all.
Ms. Sandler Jones, can you explain to her what you just explained to me?
Well, based upon my understanding from the conversation with the council member, he would like to include parks because he felt as if the previous audit focused on the tennis center and not the entire Parks Department operations.
Can Karen Dixon verify if that's the case? Because I didn't understand it to be that. That was his understanding.
Okay.
So can we just, for the sake of clarity, can we list all of the departments?
Well, she
There's different costs.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you want me to verify whether or not it did the entire Parks and Rec? Yes, it did, but it included the tennis center.
Exactly.
But it did the whole Parks and Rec. But it started from the tennis center.
Okay, well, I'm good with the amendment to include the city manager's office in my motion.
Second.
Discussion, what are the departments now?
That are gonna be in the operational audit?
Yes.
It's the Finance Department to include procurement, HR, IT, and Public Works.
And the city manager.
And then you wanna add the city manager's office.
Yes.
And then to put out the
Issue a RFP.
RFP to be done. Yes, I have that. Okay.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please open the vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Reeves has discussion.
Madam Dixon, the operational audit that we're voting on, what was going back to the Parks and Rec, what was the technical definition of what that was that Parks and Rec was under? Was it an operational audit or was it an agreed upon procedure?
It was actually an agreed upon procedure. So they did look at the operations and then how the finance part was handled through the Parks and Rec.
Yes, ma'am, and I've requested, can you give me the technical definition of the operational audit and a technical definition of the agreed upon procedure? You can just email that to me. I appreciate it.
I will.
Any more discussion? All right, please open the vote, Mr. Clerk.
Voting is open.
I'm not
showing.
that go click down where?
It is.
Oh, refresh it.
Councilman Rao, is that a yes for you?
It's a yes for me.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Reed, is it a yes for you?
No.
No? Okay.
Oh, here it is. Yes, I'm going in the queue. I got it. My vote is
Okay.
registered. Thank you.
So this is approved 5-1 with Councilman Reed voting in opposition.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 36, request council approval of a use lease agreement for Wolf Creek Amphitheater between the city of South Fulton and Fulton County.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the use lease agreement for Wolf Creek Amphitheater between the city of South Fulton and Fulton County.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, please open the vote.
Voting's open. Still not showing up. Is there a vote yea or nay? That item is approved unanimously. Councilmember Reed votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. Please sound the next item.
Next item is item 37, request council approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the city of South Fulton and local firefighters union 3290. This is sponsored by Councilmembers Sebastian and Williams.
And I would like to be added on as a co-sponsor, and I would explain.
The entire council.
The entire council,
Right.
really.
I will entertain a motion.
Can you let him know that the entire council want to be on that?
I'm going to entertain a motion, and then someone will second it, and then we'll
I-
open it up
I'd
for
like
discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the city of South Fulton and local firefighters union number 3290.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. I'm in the queue. Or do you wanna
Councilman
take this?
Sebastian.
Okay.
Sebastian.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this has been a process that we have gone through as a city for the first time, and I just want to thank the staff and the union members, and thank the men and women of the union and others in our fire department for their patience and cooperation while we got through this process. I think it's been a learning experience up and down our government, and I'm looking forward to further years when we can do this a little bit more efficiently, so that we can make everyone not completely happy a lot of times, because that's just the nature of negotiations, but where we can get this done more efficiently and just better done overall.
Dr. Rao?
I'm ready to vote. Call for the previous question.
It's been properly moved and seconded.
Yeah, we can't add people to the. He said we got to do it. That's what I just said to him.
Okay. Well, I'll withdraw my motion. Go ahead.
Are you recognizing me?
Councilman Willis.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mayor. I think that this collective bargaining agreement not only is our first agreement, but this full council have been committed to making sure that it gets done. I want to thank staff, and I want to also thank the union representatives from the firefighter union to getting this arduous task done. This should be, we're requesting for the clerk to add sponsorship for this full body. And I would like to add in my comments, there would be no union if I did not put forth legislation in 2017 for this fire department union to be unionized.
And we voted.
I believe in unions. I am a daughter of an educator who is a union member. I'm a wife of a law enforcement officer who is a union member. This council in 2017 did vote unanimously for this union to be unionized. When I took office, your union, she wasn't even a union leader yet, but Andrea Hall and also Wayne, I can't believe I forgot Wayne's last name. Hines was adamant about making sure that we create a union and you unionize. And even before becoming a city, Wayne was not in support of this city because the charter at that time had language in it that was not union friendly. And until we took that language out, Wayne Hines was not supportive of the city. But once that union language, unfriendly language was removed, Wayne was very supportive of the city. But once we became a city, he and Andrea really took it to the end. Captain Hall was adamant about making sure that this council created legislation to create the union. And so this is a proud moment for me, and no collective bargaining agreement is ever going to be efficient and is not ever going to be not contentious. I don't know of one. So congratulations, and I just hope we can move forward, and I am glad that your firefighters, all firefighters in this city are now being fairly compensated, and then we are also working towards not only you all are being fairly compensated, but you have better equipment and working conditions. And thank you, Chief Jones, Chad Jones, for being patient in allowing us to get this done. Thank you.
I second the motion to add the entire council as the sponsor.
And I think I mentioned that.
But you
All right, so we're going to recognize the queue. That's what we're going to do now. So council member, if other members have comments, I'm going to ask that you just get in the queue. Council member Reeves.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. Captain Hall, Chief Jones, and Madam City Manager Jones, this is what it's all about. Is y'all trusted the process, but you went through it, but before any road was paved, it was crush and run. It's a little bumpy, but today is the day that y'all all work together collectively to come up with this, and it is a proud moment, and so good job.
Councilmember Sebastian, we got a few more speeches, so you guys just hold tight. Councilmember Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not really a speech, just to say that I actually agree that the entire council need to be on this resolution. And I'd actually sent an email to that effect earlier this week, but I guess that just got missed. But yeah, I'm in full agreement that the entire council should be part of this resolution. Thank you.
Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember.
Yes, Mayor. That sounded like it was my name. Was that my name?
Yes.
Just two quick things. I would like to also congratulate Captain Hall on getting this done. I know that this was a labor of love for her and that she put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into getting this accomplished. And she is to be commended for her perseverance and her determination to get through this process for the firefighters. Also, I just wanted to note on the agenda that the number of the union is listed as 3290 and it actually should be 3920. So if we could just make sure in the minutes that it's reflected as 3920. But again, Captain Hall, congratulations on a job well done.
All right, seeing no one else. Mr. Adams, first let's make sure that my name is added as well. It's mayor and council. Second, I want to thank all of the firefighters and EMS workers of South Fulton, whether members of the union or not, for all of the work that you do. Our city would not be safe without you. Second, I want to encourage those members of the fire department who are not in the union to join the union. As is the case with all things in democracy, if you are not at the table, you are not at the table. So make sure that you're at the table where things are being negotiated. And lastly, I hope that this moment inspires not only the employees of the city of South Fulton, but employees all around who are not employees in City Hall, but workers in the city of South Fulton, from City Hall to the Amazon warehouses that surround our cities. When you organize, you win. And with that, I will open the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Reed's registered his vote as a yes. With that, it's a unanimous approval.
Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 38, request council approval of school zone camera system preventive maintenance with equipment warranty contract for a total of $102,777. Believe this is police, no, the Public Works Department.
I move that we approve the school zone camera system preventive maintenance with equipment warranty contract for a total not to exceed $102,777.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves? The item is approved unanimously. It's approved unanimously, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 39, request council approval to purchase 30 2022 Ford Pursuit utility vehicles, Explorers, along with associated costs for radio communications, video cameras, outfitting build-out, and decal graphics for a cost not to exceed $2.1 million. Source of funds is the Police Department's Capital Fund number 350.
I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of 30 2022 Ford Pursuit utility vehicles, Explorers, along with associated costs for radio communications, video cameras, outfitting, build-out, and decal graphics for a cost not to exceed $2.1 million. The source will be the South Fulton Police Department's Capital Fund number 350.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is an old queue. Am I clearing this queue out? Okay, and seeing none, please open the vote, Mr. Clerk.
That item is approved unanimously.
All right, please sound the next item.
Next item is a first read of an ordinance implementing penalties for driving on truck routes. This is sponsored by Councilman Burrell.
This is a first read, but I want to thank Chief for working with me on this in terms of responding to concerns we hear across the city, not just in my district, but I hear it a lot on Cascade and Boat Rock. So again, this would increase the penalties for trucks being on truck restricted routes, the fees.
So move. Oh, this is the first read.
Councilman Reeves?
Is Mr. Valenzuela here? How you doing, Mr. Valenzuela?
I'm doing good, bro.
All right, awesome. I agree with this right here, is these penalties, but some trucks seem to not know that they're still driving on illegal routes. But as I was coming in here to this facility, I noticed that there was a no truck driving sign that blinks and had the COSF ordinance underneath. What is the plan on installing those around all of the areas where trucks are illegally driving on so the penalties can be enforced to the maximum allowable by law?
Are you asking?
When will we get those signs all over where trucks constantly drive illegally down the roads? Like they constantly come in Cascade, as my colleague just said, it's all over the city, specifically over on Fairwood and Mallory, specifically on Stacks Road and Mallory. When will we be having those signs installed so that they know that they're driving illegally, so that when they are driving and we can enforce the penalties that we're about to pass here, that we can do it to the maximum amount of the law?
If it's the desire of the council, we can have flashing signs at each of the non-truck routes that we got throughout the city, so that we can budget and strategically install those. Each of those signs costs about $1,500.
Yeah.
In the past, we had just the regular signs, and that will be upon our police department to enforce those, not necessarily because you have flashing lights that they're going to stop driving through the non-truck zones. But if we invested, I don't know what is going to be, if we're going to diminish drivers on driving through the non-truck routes. To be honest with you, I have looked at on some areas, and it's particularly on the Boat Rock area, and the reason why those drivers do abuse the system is because it is the closest route to their destination, and they are the same drivers going through that area. So enforcing PD and increasing the fines, we might be much better served going on that route than to install flashing lights that we believe that might benefit the city, but I'm not quite sure that that's going to be the best answer for us. Currently, as you know, on Cascade Road, we have flashing lights, but still, those truck drivers keep on driving.
Would you say that no truck driving sign with the flashing lights, flashing red, it acts as a deterrent on preventing them some,
You're not gonna prevent all, that's impossible, but preventing some. To turn around.
Councilmember
And
Reed.
how many do we have currently installed?
Councilmember Reed, do you mind
I'm
yielding?
asking Mr. Valenzuela a question.
We have a full hand of those. It's about the solar, LED, flashing, non-track signs.
yield, please?
We have about 3 of those installed.
Just saying, we trying to get out here. Can you yield? Just yield.
Thank you.
I'll come back to you. I give. Are you yielding?
I'm done with the question with Mr. Valenzuela, if that's what you're asking, yes.
No, that's not what I'm asking, but that's fine. I'm next in the queue. Can you recognize?
Councilmember Willis.
Thank you for recognizing me. Mr. Valenzuela, I move that Mr. Valenzuela bring, we have a truck ordinance that prohibits trucks on our cities throughout the city. So if Mr. Valenzuela's Mr. City Manager can bring this council a recommendation on what it would cost to put those, what are they called, what are they called?
Solar, LED, flashing signs.
Solar MD flashing signs on all our prohibited truck route streets based on the truck ordinance that's already in place to this council at the next regular council meeting, which won't be until August. If he can bring a recommendation along with the cost, and then I will co-sponsor a resolution. So hopefully we'll get the recommendation with the resolution to just go ahead and get those items placed throughout the entire city.
I agree.
And I'll send it through the legislative process, and if anybody wants to co-sponsor, they can let me know.
Thank you.
So one of the things, Ms. Sally Jones, you asked us to do when we make requests of you, to make sure it's the will of majority of this council. So with that saying, Chair, can you please, I'm gonna make that a motion that Ms. City Manager direct Mr. Valenzuela to bring a recommendation on where those signs should go based on our current truck route ordinance and cost of those signs by August. And then Mr. Valenzuela, if you can get it to me by July so that I can have Mr. Hyman put it through the legislative process with the co-sponsors.
We'll do. Just to clarify, we'll make sure that we do at the beginning of the track routes. We don't necessarily will install those in between those, so that way we just prevent them of them entering into the non-track route.
I understand that. I'm not trying to tell you to do your job. That's why I'm asking you to bring a recommendation back to the council along with costs, and that was a motion.
Second.
Properly moved and
Will
second.
do.
Ms. Clerk, call.
Oh, we got to vote. We got to vote.
Voting is open. That motion was approved unanimously.
Mr. Clerk, sign the next item.
Next item is first read as well, item 41. First reading of ordinance requesting city code prohibition of firearms, sponsored by council members Willis, Gomes, and Williams.
Any discussion?
Yes, this is first read. And so this is self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into it, but, you know, in light of what happened at Welcome All Park in earlier this month, and, you know, we see what's happening in the nation, which is unfortunate. You know, we must strengthen our policies to protect our community, our children, and our residents. Mr. Hyman has done his legal due diligence to make sure that we are not violating any gun carry, the new gun carry law that is codified on a state level. And so this will come back at the next regular council meeting for a vote. And if anyone has questions concerning this, just please let me know.
All right, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 42, request council approval of a resolution authorizing an action plan for municipal park cameras. This is sponsored by council members Willis, Gumbs, Rao, and Williams.
I move that we adopt the resolution authorizing the action plan for municipal park cameras.
Second, and I have a comment. Ms. Sally Jones.
I'm gonna, okay, go ahead, Councilman Willis.
So, Ms. Sally Jones, none of our parks and recreation facilities currently have the proper camera surveillance, and we talked to you about this. And so this is an ask of you to direct you to work with Chief Meadows and Park Recreation staff to bring us a recommendation on how we implement surveillance internally and externally in all of our park and recreation facilities. Not only will it help deter crime, it will also cut down in the amount of time that our police officers have to take to investigate crime issues relative to breaking and entering or any type of gun-related activities, and also illegal use of drugs that are happening in some of our parks, and alcohol. All of that stuff is prohibited, but if you go in most of our parks, I still see beer cans in the trash can. I still see blunt packages all over our parks and some of our parks, and this will help our public safety team to enforce our ordinance in our parks.
All right, Councilman Reeves, or is this old Q?
Old Q.
All right. All right, Mr. Clerk, did we do a motion and a second?
Yeah, there's a motion and second on the floor.
All right.
Voting is open.
Please open the vote, yes.
Mine didn't come up. Oh, I see what's the problem. Never mind, I see it.
Item was approved unanimously.
Who was that?
All right, please sound the next item. I believe we have an award to accept.
Yes. This item was added to the agenda. This is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept the award to the city of the Assistance to Firefighter Grant in an amount not to exceed $1 million with the required 10% match.
I move that we accept the grant up to $1 million with the required match, and congratulations on this.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Go ahead and approach Mr. Jones. I do want to ask, Madam City Manager, Mr. Jones, have we identified the funding source for the match?
We have, and I want to make, for clarity, so the award are supposed to be announced in June, so we're preempting since y'all are going to be on break for June and July. So we are still got our fingers crossed that we'll be awarded that money for that needed equipment, but we have been working with Ms. Jones and Finance, and we have identified the money.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the vote.
Yes, this is an add-on item, so I'll do a roll call
yes,
vote.
let's do a roll call. Thank you.
Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gumbs?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian? Councilmember
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Reeves?
Aye.
Councilmember Williams? Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
The item was approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 43 under Economic Development. Request council approval of a resolution appointing Nathan Lewis to the South Fulton Development Authority, position 8. Mayor Khalid.
I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve Nathan Lewis to the South Fulton Development Authority position.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, please open the vote.
Item was approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Item 44 was removed from the agenda. Item 45, under purchasing, request council approval to authorize staff to select and enter into a service agreement with M. Mitchell Group LLC to perform vacant lot cleaning citywide as needed on behalf of code enforcement for an annual amount not to exceed $250,000 as the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder in response to ITB 22-007.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. I will ask y'all to just let me recognize you. That's fine. We almost there. A couple more items. Any discussion? All right. I do have one question. How do you is Mr. Morris here? Thank you so much for staying up with us, sir. How do you identify the lots that need to be cleaned?
Okay, greetings, Mayor and Council. So our identification process, we look at lots that have not been maintained for quite some time, and we just, based on the need of the community, based on council complaints, based on citizen complaints, we just determine a priority list of what gets prioritized first. And what this additional funding does, it gives us access to much more funding that we can have a better impact throughout the city.
And then is the cost of cleaning that lot added to the lien for that person, that lot owner?
Yes, sir, correct. So we add all additional fees, including staff time, interest rates, and things like that go onto that lien process. So we make sure we recoup upon sale or transfer of that property, we recoup all funds back to the city.
All right, I'm here for it. I want to say thank you so much for this. I cannot, as almost as soon as we started the Blighted Property Fund, within months, we started getting complaints that units that we had knocked down were being overgrown. So thank you for making this a comprehensive solution. And with that, I will open the vote.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilman Reeves.
Mr. Morris, I just wanted to know, just for edification purposes, is that these vacant lots, if they so go unclaimed for a certain period of time, we still maintaining them, is there a plan or is there a way that the city can get those vacant lots?
Thank you, Councilman Reeves. That is something that we are looking into as far as our exit strategy. So, what we've accomplished here at this point is a huge step as far as step 1 through 5, let's say. And so we are taking away the blight from the city. Our next step is how do we dispose of the lot? How do we bring them back to their highest and best use? That's something we're still looking into. We're looking at partnerships with different organizations, nonprofits, and different organizations that can help us put them back to their highest and best use. So we're actively, very actively working on a final solution to put these back into their best use.
Like a community garden or kind of like a little neighborhood outdoor classroom?
Yes, sir. For example, exactly. Yes,
for example. I would like to discuss that with you further, sir. Thank you so much, if that's okay with you, City Manager.
Councilwoman, I see Councilwoman Gums.
Oh, you see it? Mr. Morris, I can't see you probably because of the screen, but just wanted to clarify because we have been getting plenty of questions from residents about what happens after the land is cleared or those houses that have been on the blighted property list. Is the city able to buy them? And I think through our discussion, you mentioned that the land still belongs to the homeowner, so we're not able to do any of the community gardens, or we would have to go through an extensive I guess, agreement with the landowners to use their land. So I just want to confirm that and put that on record, because I've been asked by a couple of residents in regards to setting up community gardens on these vacant properties, on these blighted properties. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, ma'am, you are correct. So we don't necessarily take over possession at that point. Even though we do have the option as a city, we have several options that we could take. We have a substantial lien on each of those properties once we perform that work, whether it's demolition or cleanup. But we haven't taken possession. That title has not transferred over to the city at that point. We do have several options that we could undertake, but until we do take that final option, we do not have possession nor use of that property at that point.
Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Willis.
So I just want to caution all my colleagues, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Hyman. This city is not in the business of real estate. So we have this blighted process to take over the property, to bring these properties into compliance. But we start moving in a direction where we start, we actually become owners of these property. Wouldn't that be putting us in the real estate business and holding us liable for paying the property taxes and also consistently maintaining the property?
Right now, the way the city's process is set up is that you're basically leaning the property and you are allowing for the recoupment of those costs whenever it's sold, but title doesn't transfer. If you want title to transfer, if there was some legitimate public purpose that was announced ahead of time, then you would have like eminent domain, but you have to pay to get that property. And me and Mr. Morris went to the same convention. A lot of cities may partner with respective land bank authorities to have them purchase, but normally it'd be another third party like that that would be in the business of buying property on behalf of the city, but that'd be something like, for example, land bank authority would do.
Okay, and so my second question is, if that's the direction this council decides to go down, is there any way, city manager, that you could possibly get us someone that can come in and talk about that process, and also the process of partnering with the land bank companies, and then maybe giving us some policy recommendation how we can take a further step, because there is quite a few blighted properties in our city, and when we transitioned from the county, we had about 200 on the list. Are we still there or more at this point?
We're making a dent. We're making an impact. So we're now at last count. We removed 5 and then 2 more pop up. So it's a constant kind of a shell game. But we are making an impact. I think we're down to 75, give or take, at last count. So making progress.
So I know we got a lot, and we supposed to be, but I'm just saying maybe that's something we can do at a retreat next year, or something we can do futuristic.
And I'd love to also have the land bank come and do a presentation. I mean, through Councilmember Rao, we've had some initial conversations with them that Brian has been on the calls with us, and also the city attorney's office. So we can definitely, maybe in a future work session, have them come and present and talk about, the benefits of joining.
Okay, thank you.
I see there's some other people in the queue, but I would respectfully disagree with you, Councilwoman Willis. I do believe that we are already, as a city, in the real estate business. We are sitting in a building that we own and land that is ours. Cities don't pay taxes to themselves, so the land that we own is tax-free. And in addition to one of the things that I want to, this is one of the city's most popular, one of its most requested programs, I want us to consider that many of the properties in which blighted properties are, many of the communities in which blighted properties are located do not have mandatory HOAs, do not have clubhouses, do not have amenities. So some of these properties could be used to offer amenities to our cities, especially in places like District 4 or other districts where there is a dearth of parks or public land or public facilities, that this might be the opportunity to get land to do some of that infrastructure creation for pennies on the dollar. It also is through the land bank, I'm sure that we'll hear through these presentations, a way to keep our housing affordable. In Chicago and Detroit and some other places, they are selling lots back to residents for $1 or for $1,000 if they are long-term residents, so that they can ensure that their cities remain affordable to the residents that live there. And lastly, I would ask both the Blighted Property Fund and the Speed Bump Fund, the Pedestrian Fund, get requests that far exceed the amount that we have allotted to them. So I would ask that while we're on this sabbatical, in addition to the number of things, the number of things we're asking you to magically make work in next year's budget, if we could consider increasing the fund for both of those items. And with that, I see in the queue, Councilman Sebastian.
And I'm back in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree that having a presentation from the land bank is going to be helpful, because on the other side of controlling the development is also if the city own land in areas like District 4, where we can go the other way of conserving some green space because we own the land. It is one of the uses that we should also look at. So I am interested in where we're going, and I agree that we may not be, the purpose may not be just to be a real estate business, but we need to be called into some things that we need to do and control within our city.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gomes? Okay, Councilwoman Willis.
Mr. Morris, how many houses do we own in the city of South Fulton due to blighted property?
How many properties do we own?
Yes, how many blighted properties do we own?
Well, we have quite a few. We don't own, to my knowledge, we don't own any properties outright.
So my point, yes, the city does own park buildings. Yes, the city does own fire stations. Yes, the city does own police stations. My point is we do not own houses. What I did ask is for the city manager to bring someone in to talk with this council in the event we decide we want to move in that direction, if that is the will of this council. Thank you.
Dr. Rao.
As the city manager had indicated, we have had some initial conversations with the land bank, and one of our city attorneys has had extensive experience working with the land bank when he was with a former city. So I think the suggestion to do a work session is a great one, as they can really think about what, we can decide if that's a model that works, but it shouldn't be anything we're afraid of. Other cities are doing it, and it's a great opportunity. We could even provide workforce housing for our employees, so we can decide what that looks like. I just think it's something we should explore, maybe after we come back from summer recess. So that's the end of my comments.
Well, thank you all. Thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Morris. Last but not least, Councilman Reeves.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Chair. As thank you for also enlightening this situation, because that we are talking about bringing a land bank, that the city of South Fulton land bank. And so I'm glad to know that my colleagues are on the same wave path and the same line, so we can now collaborate all together collectively. Thank you.
And if I may add, we are also meeting with the Habitat for Humanity next week. So we want to explore all options that we have on the table, including the land bank, including Habitat for Humanity, to see what's the best fit for South Fulton. So we'll have a report once we go down and visit the campus and walk around and tour the homes, tour the models, and then we'll have a report back on what we...
All right, thank you so much, and thank you for all you and code enforcement do. You are many of our citizens'
Perform chiller replacement services for HVAC system at Southwest Arts Center for an amount not to exceed $162,159 as the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder in response to ITB 22-014.
I move that we enter into a service agreement with 5 Seasons Mechanical LLC to perform chiller replacement services for HVAC system at the Southwest Arts Center in amount not to exceed $162,159 in response to ITB 22-014.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, the queue is open. The vote is open.
That item is approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is 48. Request council approval to authorize staff to enter into an agreement with Fulton County to accept a community development block grant in an amount of $250,000 issued by the federal government through Fulton County for the purpose of completing repairs of HVAC, electrical, and plumbing system at the Burdette Recreation Center.
I move that we approve this measure.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, please open the vote.
That item is approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 49, request council approval of a resolution authorizing an IGA between City of South Fulton and the City of Fairburn for the White Mill Road Reclamation Project, sponsored by Councilmember Sebastian.
It's been, hasn't been.
I move that we approve this measure.
Second.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion, please open the vote.
We ain't standing.
That item is approved unanimously.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, even though our agendas are getting longer, we are out again by 9 o'clock. I do want to remind my council members, just because I always get us out by 9, we don't have to keep making the agendas longer. I'm going to start with council comments, starting with District 1. Dr. Rao.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to encourage residents in District 1 and 2 to participate in our town hall meeting, which will be held virtually on tomorrow. We'll be providing updates on public works projects. In addition, I want to thank those who came out for the cleanup on this past Saturday in partnership with the Cascade Business Merchants Association. No additional update.
District 2, Councilwoman Gomes.
Well, first I want to say congratulations to all of the candidates that were successful in their elections that represent the city of South Fulton. So we're definitely thankful and for you all offering yourself for service. As Councilwoman Rao mentioned, we will be having a town hall on the 26th. There's a lot of things happening on the 26th. within the city. So I do encourage you all to please attend. We'll also offer our town hall will be recorded live and live.
Mr. Antonio Venezuela. And on June 1st, we have the national director and her team coming from Washington, D.C. The national director is responsible for opening and facilitating Job Corps facilities throughout the entire nation. That is her sole job. And so she will be coming to the city of South Fulton to give residents an update on where we are with the $50 million facility being constructed in the city and in District 3, what slowed the project down, and where we are going from here. That is going to be a game changer for not only the city, it is going to be a game changer for the region. It is a over 400-bed facility. I want to thank Congressman Scott for making sure that the city of South Fulton was connected with the Job Corps. He got me connected with the Job Corps when I got elected and could not gain a lot of leeway. Not only did he get connected, he came out to the community and participated in a meeting. So thank you, Congressman Scott. And I'm looking forward to this project coming to fruition in late 2024. We have walked the facility on numerous occasions, and I cannot wait until it's open. I want to thank everyone who came out to the Feeding the City initiative at Creel Park on last Monday. And God even gave us some breezy weather and some sun. And it was opposed to thunderstorm. And we were able to serve over 300 families that day, and we were able to give away all of the food. And I will keep you updated when we do our next distribution in June. And it is our goal to make sure a food distribution is done in every district. So thank you, and happy Memorial Day. And let's not forget those who died for us to have freedom and liberty. Let's not just party. Let's just make sure that we understand what Memorial Day is, and thank all our service personnel for their service, and thank those who have sacrificed their life for us to live with liberty and justice for all here in the United States of America.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Siri, pick me up. Congratulations.
That was your time. That was Siri.
No, they wanted me to congratulate Westlake.
All of the graduates.
Oh, yes.
But go ahead.
Thank you. Congratulations to all of our 2022 graduates here in the city of South Fulton, our high school graduates, our middle school graduates, our elementary school graduates, and most of all, our collegiate graduates. Thank you.
Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for their prayers and their support while I battle this COVID thing. I'm there now. I've tested negative, but I'm still staying out of the public arena for the next couple of days. So thank you for your prayers and support for my wife and I. She actually fared better than I did. Also wanted to thank the staff for filling in at the food giveaway and for making up the slack when myself and Councilmember Williams could not be present. Thank you very much to our Parks Director and his staff, Mr. Morris from Code Enforcement. I did see all the pictures, so thank you very much to all those who helped from the Fire Department, Police Department, and other departments. Just want to again wish, calling her the mother of District 4, Miss Bernice Leftwich, who celebrated 102 years birthday this month. Again, hope the day was all that it could have been for you. Just want to remind the residents of District 4 that we have launched our newsletter for our district, and you can email my office to get signed up for the newsletter so that you can keep up with what's happening in District 4. Also, thank the Cliftondale United Methodist Church for hosting our vaccination event today. We have day 2 coming up tomorrow from 10 until 3 o'clock. So if anyone wants to get vaccinated from this virus, please go by, and there's some money in it for you. We are paying you to get vaccinated. So feel free to go by and take advantage of that. And again, I can't say how much the support of this council has meant even during my recent battle with COVID. Thank you all very much. And I did take some of the remedies on the advisement, but I couldn't do all, but thank you for them all anyway. All right. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for leading us again through a long and difficult meeting, but a good one. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. June 4th, 2022 was from 10 to 2 at Burdett. My colleague, Councilmember Williams, and I will be having a senior health fair sponsored by Kaiser Permanente. Come on out. Also, June the 8th is going to be at Diamond Hall, the local LCI initiative presentation. So to everyone, please come out at that. August the 2nd is going to be National Night Out, as I believe that's down in the LA Plaza, LA Fitness Plaza on Old National. And also attend, if you are able to, coffee and or cookie with the cop, as you will learn a lot of information and get a lot of your questions answered. When it comes to the food distribution, yes, thank you to Atlanta Community Food Bank. Y'all do an awesome job. And as we over in the 5th District through First Missionary Baptist Church and through Pleasant Word feed over 500 families twice a week, as we have a continuous food drive. You can go by there any day, Tuesdays and Thursdays at First Missionary, Tuesdays at Pleasant Word. We're going to try to expand that to Thursday, as it's a weekly deal. And E911. No safety, KNO, no accidents, NO, as we have arranged to anybody who wants to go on a tour to see the 911 system. It's very interesting, it's very intriguing, it's very enlightening, it's very informational. And we are going to do all that we can to push that effort forward, to reduce, to give the funding and supply our chief, both of them, everything they need to reduce the response times. And it's a unique deal because we can roll it in, but we don't necessarily have to have our own on this one. We just have to have our own, what do you call that? Satellite station dish, the stand that, and then we can actually have earnings on that through, they will, corporations, like they will just, you know, want to put it up there as well, like the AT&Ts, the Verizons. So, because many people do have cell phones, I would encourage you to take that tour. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I have learned and I have adopted from it, they have little mini sayings all across there as well. But the one thing that resonated with me the most is, what you do screams so loud, I can't hear what you say. I'm gonna leave it at that. And I love you, and you can't do nothing about it.
Thank you, Councilman Reeves. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that my colleagues have announced a number of the things that I was going to announce, so I will just simply add that the District 6 Town Hall will be Saturday at 10 a.m. at Burdett Park, and all District 6 residents are encouraged to come out. If you are not getting the newsletter, you are a resident of District 6, please do contact my office so that we can make sure we get you added to the distribution list so that you can get the newsletter. And as Councilman Sebastian said, I do want to thank everyone, and my fellow council members in particular, for calling and texting and checking in on me, as well as I have also been battling with COVID over the past week and a half. And so I'm grateful to everyone for their concern and for checking on me. I am a notoriously bad patient. And so I appreciate being reminded that I need to listen to my doctor. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. All right, I'm going to reiterate a couple things, but not too many. First, congrats to all of our 2024 graduates, from the young people at Randolph Elementary, whose graduation I spoke at yesterday, to the new adults at Arlington Christian Academy, whose graduation I'll be speaking at this weekend, and all of our South Fulton students in between. A special shout out to Mr. Nicholas Wilkinson. You may remember he was a star student at Tri-Cities who won Best Actor in the state in 2 different statewide competitions. He has now received $1 million in scholarships. To Chief Jones and our fire department, first, my deepest apologies for not being able to attend your promotion ceremony, which happened at the same time as our employee appreciation. Thank you to Nikki Graham and our HR department for making sure that all of our employees feel valued. And I came in the door talking about this calendar. I really want us to get it together so that we don't have 2 such important events happening at the same time on the same day. To our Public Works Department, and thank you, and our upcoming sanitation department, thank you so much for bulk trash day on behalf of all of the citizens. And to our police department, you all may have heard we had a little car show on Old National, but it was safe. I do want to say to Mr. Ross, please call the office of the mayor of the city of South Fulton so that we can partner with you on that and make it even bigger while still being safe next year. And to A.R. Long, our city lobbyist, the baddest lobbyist in the South, he set up some meetings with me to discuss transportation and infrastructure funding from Congress. Special thanks to the offices of Congressman David Scott, Drew Ferguson, and Sanford Bishop, especially Sanford Bishop for the information you gave us on directed congressional spending. And a special thanks to the indefatigable Nikema Williams and the amazing Ayanna Presley, 2 congresswomen who are just doing amazing things for our country and took the time to meet with me in person. While I was there, I went by Independence Hall and I got to see the original documents on which our country was founded, our Articles of Confederation, which was our first Constitution. Many people may not know that there was a big protest, and the Constitution that we have now was written in response to our first Constitution because it did not include a Bill of Rights, which every American appreciates today. And so just thinking about all of that history, I want to thank everyone who voted yesterday, everyone who won, and everyone who ran, all of our citizens who ran, for continuing this 235-year-old conversation that we are having about rights and our democracy. Last but not least, talking about rights and our democracy, we are going to be leaving this space because the Southwest Arts Center is open, and the next show coming is a musical about the incredible Fannie Lou Hamer. If you do not know about her in the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, I encourage you to come to that show. It will be opening here Juneteenth week, July 14th, and running through, June 14th, and running through July 10th. For information on that and many other Juneteenth festivities that we have planned for you, please visit the City of South Fulton's website or to sign up for my newsletter and mobile alerts, you can text the word Fulton to 33777. South Fulton forever. And with that, I will entertain a motion to go into a brief executive session.
I move that we go into executive session for real estate personnel, a brief executive session for real estate personnel and litigation. It should be brief because we already had. I move that. And before we go, yeah, we got one litigation and we got a real estate item, right, police? Okay. I move that we go into executive session for real estate litigation and personnel. A brief executive session.
Not to exceed 15 minutes.
I mean, some of the items, two of the items is gonna exceed.
That's
15
my,
minutes. I would hate for us to have to come back out here for more time because two of the items are going to exceed 15 minutes.
Let's say, can we do 30? Let's compromise.
Okay.
Not to exceed 30 minutes.
not to exceed 30 minutes.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded.
Our motion.
I'm assuming you're seconding that, Council?
Not to exceed, I amended.
Thank you. And let's just roll call vote.
Councilmember Morale?
Reluctantly, yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves? Aye. Councilmember Sebastian? Councilmember Sebastian? Councilmember Sebastian?
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Williams? Williams?
Yes.
Williams. We are recessed for executive session at 9:04 p.m.
Did they call you? Did they call you?